New York. It's a show that's going to put on a real performance. At least 1/3 of us are. We're going to watch a spectacular performance coming up.
What you're talking about?
Well, I hope so.
We start with the Ravens win again. Lamar went full Superman mode, 348 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 55 yards rushing, and another win over Joe Burrow. Derrick Henry breaks the run in overtime to basically seal the game. Hey, Brew, how confident are you in the Ravens?
I mean, this is...
Wilds, it was a tough weekend. My goodness. Whew. I thought we were going to go into Cincinnati.
Yeah, and do what?
One of my hometowns.
Yep.
And just have at it with the Bengals. Remember, I predicted a 2-touchdown victory.
I remember.
Blowout.
And it was a fight. It was an all-around Donnybrook up in there. Mm-hmm. I barely got my robe. They almost ripped my robe off. You see the sunglasses are all askew.
Yeah, we do.
I only got one Jordan. I couldn't even get out with 2, and it's barely on.
Even on your foot.
All right,
yeah.
And then I just grabbed whatever I could to eat this sandwich. I mean, I just
you made
grabbed
that in
it.
Cincinnati.
I tried to make it, and they wouldn't let me. I just grabbed what was left, and then I couldn't even get a full soda pop. Just this little bit, but you know what? Whew. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I mean, W's are hard to come by in the NFL.
That's true.
And so they got it. Mm-hmm. Lamar was fantastic.
Out of breath.
I mean, it was rough up in there. My gosh. And Nick, again, I'll take the win. But I got some concerns.
Okay.
I've got some concerns. First of all, the defense. I mean,
if you'd be more comfortable taking your foot down, you'd feel fine.
I'm fine. Would you guys be more comfortable?
No, you're fine. Whatever you want. Yeah, you're fine.
I mean,
the defense.
Every quarterback looks like an all-pro against the Ravens defense.
Yeah.
All 4 of the 5 they've faced have had their best or most passing yards of the season against the Ravens. That's Mahomes. Well, everybody except Josh Allen.
Yes, exactly.
Everybody except Josh Allen. So the defense is a problem. I know Marlon Humphrey came up with a big play, which was good. But they can't be given field day, having every quarterback have a field day against the defense. And then offensively, now obviously they put up a ton of points, which was great. Derrick Henry, there's the problem, and we saw it when they faced the Chiefs. When they get behind, they get away from giving the ball to Derrick Henry.
Exactly what Coach said might happen.
Yeah, and that's what they did. So against the Chiefs, he only ran for 13 times, which was a season low.
Yeah.
Okay? Yesterday, they're up most of the first half. He's got 10 carries for 27 yards. I know he wasn't getting a lot of yards, but still, he wears down the defense. Cincinnati takes the lead right before halftime. The second half, not overtime, the second half, Derrick Henry has 1 carry for 3 yards. And then overtime, of course, he has 4 carries, pops the big one, 62 yards for total in the overtime. So they still, I don't know that you fully need to get away from Henry. They were down 10, I get it, but they got to figure out how to be better with that because that's their identity, and you can't just – and Lamar's throwing it great. I think the numbers don't bear it out, but I think he's probably throwing it the best he ever has. Yeah. Accuracy and all that, poise in the pocket. But their identity still is running the ball. So they got away from that.
So you hit on – and this is why you're the conscience of the show, because instead of just preening about the Ravens winning, there were some you're fine. There were some legitimate concern points, and I think you touched on them. I have a different theory about them getting away from running the ball. I think there's something about Todd Monken and that team when another one of the superhero quarterbacks is on the other side of the field that they want to let Lamar go blow for blow with them. Especially, like now, the Bills game, I'm not throwing it out, but that was a weird game because it was so out of hand so quickly. But it was, and by the way, it's not like the Ravens offense struggled. They scored 41 points. There was no problem with it, and Lamar played great. That's the other thing I wanted to say.
But will that work against better defense?
Well, that would be the concern. Now, Lamar gets an A+. I will talk about Burrow in a bit, but I thought both quarterbacks had similar games in that they were almost flawless, except they both had one huge mistake that could have cost their team the game. Burrow was the pick, Lamar the fumble. but they were brilliant from start to finish through the air, very similar stat lines. But the defense is so bad, I don't think you can feel more confident in them as a team and Super Bowl chances than you did before the game. Like Lamar gets an A+. Derrick Henry, even though he didn't have an opportunity to wear down the defense, still popped that big run. Isaiah Likely for the first game, really since week 1, showed up big time again. The offense was great. But this is the worst Ravens defense that I can remember. And as far as every team going to work on them, they've played 5 games. Given up 25 or more points in 4 of their 5 games this year. It's those 2 teams. So that's a jarring stat. By the way, only the Bengals have done it more than twice other than these teams. The Bengals have done it 3 times. These teams have done it 4. No one else has done it more than twice. So that part is really concerning. But going into the game, on this show at least, a lot of it was Lamar versus Burrow. Who do you trust more? And, who's going to have a better game? And me as the biggest, I guess, Lamar skeptic is, I think a fair way to call it. I thought he played brilliantly. I thought he was excellent throughout and had a couple special Lamar moments that really only he can have. But the defense is potentially, I know this is a big thing with you, Wilds, an Achilles heel. It's been a problem,
it could be.
It's got to improve.
Yes.
Here's the rankings. I'll show you the rankings. But go ahead, Brew. Here's the rankings between 2023, last year's defense, which we thought was going to be excellent and carry over. Brew, you and I were saying, good defense is almost in Baltimore's DNA.
Right.
They've been good for the entire century, so we just assume even with turnovers of players and coordinators, they would still be good. That doesn't seem to be the case. No. Now, the positive part of this is I just believe in Lamar heating up. Lamar has had a few slow starts to September's. In October, he's now 17-4, so it's an 81% win percentage. I still just believe in Lamar. I believe in the style of play. I really believe in time of possession. So even when he does go up against a great quarterback, that we still have the ball longer.
But if they get behind...
Wow, you're really a Ravens guy these days.
I'll throw around we pretty easily, to be honest.
Yeah, but Brew...
If they look, they're S-Bob. They're S-Bob. It's not about winning 13 games or whatever. It's S-Bob, and they got to get ready.
And next week, they play Jaden Daniels and a team that offense through the air crushes everyone. And the week after that, they play Baker Mayfield and those receivers. And so I just don't think Baltimore's back end can hold up against teams with real weapons. The Chiefs in week 1, Rashee Rice had a field day. In week 2, Devontae Adams spurred a comeback. The Cowboys in the fourth quarter, they were dead, and then all of a sudden they spur a comeback through CeeDee Lamb mostly. And then yesterday, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Jamar Chase is, a vintage Jamar Chase game. T. Higgins as well.
Was great.
So that's just what are the
Bills don't
have the guys on the outside to take advantage. They have a great quarterback, but not that. Right. That's the worry factor for Baltimore. But offensively, Lamar was spectacular. Spectacular.
Meanwhile, the Bengals scored 38 points behind 5 Joe Burrow touchdowns, 2 to Jamar Chase. Burrow did have 1 costly interception. After the game, a reporter asked Joe about the narrow margin in these games. Any reason to believe in Cincinnati?
So it will be basically impossible for me to give up on a team that I think has the second best quarterback in the league, that I think has, without a doubt right now, one of the 3 best offenses in the league now that they have all their weapons back. And Joe Burrow, despite the record, is playing some of the best football of his career, and we don't even have to throw out week 1 anymore. We can just show you his numbers for the year. He leads the league in passer touchdowns. He leads the league in passer rating. He's top 8 in every other major category, with a horrific week 1 performance being 20% of it. But everything that I said previously about the Ravens defense, take that and add 20% negative for the Bengals defense. And Zach Taylor to me has always been one of the shakier in-game coaches. Taking the ball out of Burrow's hands after the Lamar fumble and just going run, 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 don't worry, it's a 52-yard field goal outdoors, when the context of every single slant to Jamar Chase worked the entire game.
So he claimed that he had to throw and Burrow audibled out of it.
Okay, all right, well, that's
for one.
Okay, that's still.
But still, they got 2 yards.
Right, and so so that part concerns me.
And do you really, like, because generally, we all thought Evan was going to hit the field goal.
I did
and
not.
You didn't think he was going to?
Well, I didn't think it was a lock. If I had to pick no, I would have said yes, because
like
he's a great kicker.
53 yards, for great
days.
kickers.
But I would have wanted to see Baltimore. It felt like maybe he was upset because Joe had thrown that interception, but man, I would have tried to give.
Then you're not the top.
Right, then you're not the guy.
Yes.
And so that part I don't like. Here's the part to me that I'm not going to write him off is the answer. I'm not writing him off because I still think if you have this level of passing attack, you can't be written off.
Okay.
But it reminds me a lot, man, of some early 2010s New Orleans Saints teams. We're like, oh, this team's going to score 30. The quarterback's going to have unbelievable numbers, and they're going to lose shootouts every week.
Yes, like bad years.
Right, I mean, right. 4 out of 5 years, they won 7 games with Drew Brees. And so that, to me, is what, Wilds?
Nothing.
What? No,
you want to play a game, a segment within a segment?
Sure.
It's called Do You Believe in These Teams, okay? Raise your hand if you believe in any of these teams.
What does believe in?
I don't know. What do we mean here? Go to the playoffs?
A chance to be
make a run at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, sure.
Does anyone believe in the Patriots? Show of hands, staff included.
No.
Cincinnati is who we're currently.
Yes.
Jacksonville.
No.
Stone.
I don't know. Season starts in London. Big win.
They weren't going to lose every game.
Anybody believe in Cleveland?
No.
The Rams.
Yes.
Carolina.
No, hold on. The Rams, I have my hand up.
I know, but for the sake of this
could the Rams win the NFC?
If they get last year they were 3-6, and but it's the same logic.
Carolina and Tennessee, those are currently
the Rams and the Bengals are different.
In order. The current, if the NFL draft was today, Cincinnati is picking 2.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about like, man, can the Patriots make a run? They can put Drake May in there, something little special happen. Like, they're 1-4. Those are the 1-4 teams.
Here's what I'll say. I want to. They're S-Bob. The Bengals have been S-Bob. And I don't think they can win the Super Bowl. Now,
I agree.
If they got to the
they're 1-4.
Well, no, but seriously, if they got to they can still make the playoffs. There are 3 teams in the AFC that look good. Kansas City, Baltimore, and Houston. That's it.
He's exactly right.
Buffalo, it might be one team out of AFC East.
I wrote this exact
one
same
team out of AFC South.
And then,
right?
That's
2,
right.
It could be the Bengals and the Ravens in the AFC North. And even the AFC West.
No, but
who's going to follow the Chiefs?
So that's right. Kansas City, Houston, Baltimore, you feel like it would take a travesty for them not to make it. Mm-hmm. The AFC East, to me, right now, looks like a 1 playoff team division. Let's just call it Buffalo for the sake of argument. That means there's 3 spots available for the Jets, the Steelers, the Broncos, the Chargers.
Right.
I understand your point
Colts.
that all of those teams have more wins than Cincinnati. And they might have dug themselves too big of a hole. But the flip side to this, and this is the thing I tried to awkwardly ask you Friday, but you couldn't answer it because I didn't ask it right. That was my bad.
That's kind of you. I don't know if you really believe that.
I'm in a good mood. That I don't actually think the Bengals are a dramatically better or worse team based on the holder screwing that up. And if he hadn't, and you think he was going to make the kick, then we're sitting here today. Bengals and Ravens are both 2-3, and I think you might be saying, and you think both are okay. So that's why I can't write them off. But I get what you're saying. You dig a hole this deep at some point, but if you're going to be great at one thing in the NFL, having it be you score a ton of points because you have an awesome quarterback, that's a pretty good thing to be great at.
What I will say is this. They can't win the Super Bowl with that defense.
No, I totally agree.
And I think Baltimore's defense will improve. I don't think that. I mean, the Cincinnati's may get marginally better, but I don't think it's not going to become a good defense. Now they match up well for some reason with the Chiefs. Maybe could they upset the Chiefs? But they cannot get to the Super Bowl and win it.
Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. He is.
Yeah, but he hasn't.
He hasn't played.
But he's not.
Like,
he just played his first
really
good game of the year. Joe Burrow, I think, has played 4 consecutive really good games. They score a ton.
And Burrow has a much better
third most
history.
points. They have the third most points of anybody.
Right. Well, that's when that's the case. At some point, you usually win some of these games.
Well, they got the Giants, Cleveland, Philadelphia, and the Raiders. They got to win 3 of those 4
before they play Baltimore again.
And then it gets
exactly
tough.
right. Yeah. I know you want to write them off, but it's just
I've been down that road. It's a lonely,
I'm going to write
ugly, tough road.
all of those teams that I named. I'm writing off. Even my beloved New England Patriots, who have the same record as the Bengals and beat the Bengals.
Yeah, I know. What you're saying should make sense, but it's just wrong. I'm just sorry. It should make sense, but it's wrong.
Head across the pond, where Aaron Rodgers threw 3 touchdowns, 2 to the Jets, 1 to the Vikings. Added another INT to Gilmore to ice the game for the undefeated Vikings. Okay, is Rodgers the issue here, bro?
Yes. Yes. The last few weeks, Aaron Rodgers has been the problem. The defense is legit. We know they held Denver to 10 points, 60 yards passing, and lost. Mm-hmm. They held Minnesota to 1 offensive touchdown. Yeah, Minnesota's average is 28 points a game.
If people didn't wake up to see the game, they held Minnesota to 16 points.
Right. It was a pick six. So they 16 offensive points, 1 offensive touchdown, and Aaron Rodgers couldn't get it done. He obviously had 3 interceptions. That's unusual. It's not going to happen a lot, but still, he had 3 interceptions in a game. That game, not only would it have been good for the record, obviously 3-2, but the morale. You beat a team that's been playing better than anybody in the league. That would have been
there
great.
For the taking.
It was there for the taking. And we got his rankings. Look at these numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is a shell of himself.
That is
Period.
Totally correct.
He is a shell of himself. I think we got the rank. Look at this. Team points per game, but completion percentage 26. Passing yards per game 19th. Yards per attempt, 29th out of a 32-team league. Touchdown, interception. This is a guy that his claim to fame is not throwing picks. He's 18th.
The passer rating of 81 is.
Who could have seen
that? But
he's
26.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying that's terrible.
I'm flabbergasted.
But look at the defense.
Yeah.
Look
the defense is good.
The defensive ranks, they're one of the top defenses in the league. And I agree with you, Nick. They had to prove it. They just did against Minnesota. Top 5 in all these categories.
I'm going to fight the pumpkin mode, Darnold. I think the Jets' defense is that good.
Okay. Oh, so you're just putting it all on Rodgers' feet, which I'm fine with. Because here's the other thing. Bill Barnwell, smart guy, future GM of my fake team. Wrote, every Monday he writes a great 6,000-word opus that Wilds reads the first 700 or 800 words of. And then finds a quote from it, and then I didn't even know you pulled something from it. So do you want to do, because what he talks about how the Jets don't do anything creative. They don't use play action, they don't use motion, and that usually would be on the offensive coordinator, except, of course, the Jets' offensive coordinator is only the offensive coordinator because he does what Aaron Rodgers wants offensively, which is to not do any of this.
He had an issue with LaFleur because LaFleur wanted all the gadgets.
I pulled mine because it flies in the face of what Brew was saying. When we were saying, I don't know about Rodgers, and you were yelling at us.
No, I thought he was. You
yelled at us all summer.
Engaged.
all summer into early fall. Yeah. This is what Barnwell wrote. Garrett Wilson had 22 targets on 56 routes. Wilson was able to produce only 101 yards for a solid but unspectacular 1.8 yards per route run. Garrett Wilson was more productive with
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson at the helm over the prior 2 seasons on a route-by-route basis.
Wilson hasn't been. Rodgers has been better than Wilson.
Than Wilson was, but the team's not, by the way. But they were 3-2 through 5 games 2 years ago. They were 2-3 last year.
Same amount of points.
And I get those numbers about Rodgers. It would be one thing if he was awesome last year, and it's like, okay, he's in a rough spot. It'd be one thing if he was awesome 2 years ago. The last time Aaron Rodgers was awesome, Mac Jones was grittying in the Pro Bowl.
Wow, that was good.
It was 2021. It was a lifetime ago. Right. And fair or not, every time there's a miscommunication, I think of those 3 days in minicamp. I'm like, oh. I don't know. I said fair or not. I said fair or not.
When you're failing, those things
I'm just telling you, when everyone's like, oh, Rodgers loves it here and Mike Williams doesn't know, I'm like, Well,
Right.
maybe that off-site in Egypt would have been better served working on back shoulders.
Especially this wasn't another international trip.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.